Greetings and welcome, I'm Ash, and this is my review for the PC version of Assassin's Creed Chronicles India, an extremely stylish 2.5D stealth platformer hybrid with a focus on fast-paced sneaky action and exploration of some rather memorable vistas. As a big fan of stealth games, I went into it expecting something similar to Mark of the Ninja, and while Assassin's Creed Chronicles India definitely has the makings of a truly great stealth platformer, it is sadly full of untapped potential. The story follows Arbaz Mir as he attempts to retrieve the fabled Koh-i-Noor diamond amidst the war between the Sheikh Empire and East India Company. Your journey will take you from the grand Indian palaces to mystic ruins, ancient castles, and everywhere in between. It is this journey that is the most inspiring part of ACC India, given that the art style is simply gorgeous to look at. The environments are bright, colorful, and filled with little details you probably won't even notice unless you stop to smell the virtual flowers. While the character models and buildings are mostly done in a realistic style, the background details and cinematics have a hand-drawn feel to them, which contributes greatly towards ACC India looking so cheerful. There are small problems here and there, mostly related to really low quality background textures, but in general the graphics and artwork of ACC India are simply a joy to behold as you're choking down your 20th guard that morning. While the visuals had me instantly hooked into the world of ACC India, the story, what little of it there was, had me rolling my eyes throughout it. I don't expect a tale that will have me weep tears of joy from an 8-hour stealth game, but the one present in ACC India is less of a story and more of a loosely bundled pile of excuses to send you through the various zones. The dialogue itself is done through beautifully drawn cutscenes and features some great voice actors, but neither of those two can really save a thoroughly uninspiring script, where everything seems to be done by the numbers, and where characters are mere caricatures rather than actual people. It is clear that a great deal of effort went into the game's presentation, so what exactly went wrong with the story that it ended up being this, for the lack of a better word, boring, is something that I would love to find out. But the presentation alone isn't what makes a game good or bad, it is the actual gameplay experience that truly matters, and for the most part ACC India is well balanced and fun to play as a stealth game. The missions, especially later on, are cleverly designed and will require a good degree of both skill and planning from you if you hope to succeed. Rushing in with your sword swinging is simply not a viable strategy. You will instead need to temper your bloodlust with a good degree of stealth and cunning, since the enemies aren't as dumb as the usual stealth game henchmen. Their cones of sight are fairly large and patrol routes planned in such a way that you will most likely get your ass handed down to you a couple of times before you figure out the optimal way of taking them out. They do suffer from the usual stealth game induced amnesia though, so even if you kill someone in cold blood in front of them, they will forget all about it in 30 seconds and start talking about their day again. Things do get trickier later on as more advanced enemies get introduced, since some of them have better vision and range with their muskets, others are more perceptive and can't be ambushed, and so on. To help you out, ACC India gives you 4 gadgets, 3 if you don't count yourself whistling as a gadget, which go a long way towards making some impossible encounters quite possible. The chakrams allow you to disable alarms from a distance and turn environment against your enemies, the smoke bombs are basically an I win button that give you a few seconds of free reign over the enemies, and the final two, the whistle and the noise bomb, share the same purpose of drawing enemies towards you or away from you. They are all rather fun to use, and their skillful application will do you wonders during some of the tougher areas, as well as make you feel like a true sneaky assassin. You might be wondering at this point, why did I start the review by saying ACC India is filled with untapped potential when I am seemingly just praising the game? This stems from the fact that the core gameplay principles are extremely solid. It is fun to creep through the shadows and ambush unsuspecting guards, to execute a plan to perfection and never even get seen, or to simply pickpocket your objective, leaving everyone none the wiser to your presence. All of the elements that make a good stealth platformer are present in ACC India, but it is the mechanics that hold it all back. Arbaz has an impressive array of moves, attacks and gadgets he can use, which is excellent as far as variety goes, but the problem comes to the fact that many of them share the same command and are contextually activated. When you translate this into gameplay, it means that in a stealth-focused game where you require precision, your character is anything but. This is especially apparent when you're doing anything near ledges, as even a single quote-unquote wrong tap of a button will either glue you to a nearby wall, send you hurtling down a cliff, or simply make you dry hump a piece of furniture, anything other than the thing you wanted to do. If it was just the ledges that had this issue, I'd be a lot more forgiving, but the same problem happens with ladders, hidey holes, pillars, and other such background elements, whose cooperation you really need when you're trying to navigate tight enemy patrols. Being uncertain about whether your input is going to produce the desired effect is a big no-no when it comes to precision stealth games. On the topic of precision stealth game no-nos, forced puzzle sections are on the top of the pile, carved in stone and embossed in gold. If they were actual puzzles, I would understand their inclusion, but every single one of them relies on you doing an insultingly easy series of events which always end with you turning a few cranks to lower something to jump on. For a fast-paced game such as ACC India, they are needlessly slow and tedious and completely break the pacing. The last thing anyone wants to do after getting an adrenaline rush by going through a tough section is to take a break in order to do something ultimately pointless. The main problem with these puzzles is that they are far more common than they have any right to be, so every few areas you're going to run across the exact same roadblock, which is a massive waste of time that could have been replaced with some cool section if only it was better positioned or more cleverly designed. The difficulty itself faces a similar problem. First of all, the balance in ACC India is for the most part extremely well done and features a constant increase in challenge and enemy numbers as you improve in both abilities and personal skill. I consider myself a stealth game veteran, and even I had tons of trouble completing some of the later stages and challenge modes through pure stealth. The whole gameplay system is seemingly tailored to a pure stealth playthrough in mind, because through a combination of gadgets, careful planning and execution, you are able to, with great effort, get by almost any area of the game without raising a single eyebrow in alarm. Each zone will take you a decent chunk of time as you scout enemy patterns, loot lore-based collectibles, and peel off enemy defenses as if they were an onion, but all of the good stealth game stuff is present here. On the other hand, if you decide you're tired of sneaking around, you can complete each level in record time through a combination of simply outrunning enemies, using the somewhat cheap-feeling smoke bombs to completely obliterate them, or just by fighting them and then fleeing if the situation gets too rough. And if that wasn't enough, you also unlock what is essentially a bunch of superpowers which allow you to instantly kill multiple enemies in a row, move unseen in clear line of sight, and so forth. All of this, unfortunately, trivializes the nicely balanced and prepared challenges ahead of you. Obviously, you can simply say that you won't use any of them and stick to pure stealth, but then you're going to be ignoring half the game's moves and tricks, which never feels good. It's hard to explain why exactly, but it feels like ACC India has a bit of a crisis of identity. It features some incredibly well-designed stealth-focused levels which require clever thinking to get through them, but then it gives you abilities which completely negate any challenge you might run across. Personally, I ended up choosing not to cheese the game and had a good deal of fun doing a quote-unquote purist playthrough, but even so, I was constantly tempted to just insta-kill a room here or there instead of figuring out a nifty way to get around it. As far as the balance between violence and stealth goes, the challenge levels did it the best, because the constantly ticking timer and nasty enemy positions simply don't allow you to stand around and loot more smoke bombs all day. Instead, you will be sneaking, stabbing, dashing, and throwing all of your gadgets in quick succession to reach the end in the fastest possible time. It might not sound like much, but it's a great way to challenge all of your skills against some exciting encounters, though the mechanical issues do rear their ugly heads here once more. So, what exactly is my final verdict on Assassin's Creed Chronicles India? Assassin's Creed Chronicles India is not a perfect game, far from it, but it does feature a beautifully visualized world with really fun and challenging stealth-based gameplay that is unfortunately mired by some inconsistent mechanics and forced pace-breaking puzzles. As it stands, I feel I can only recommend ACC India to hardcore stealth enthusiasts who will be able to overlook some flaws in favor of challenging gameplay, as well as Assassin's Creed fans who would like to experience a more exotic setting for the series. I personally enjoyed it, despite the flaws, but I am aware that if I have to add so many caveats to my recommendation, it simply isn't something the vast majority of the people will enjoy. Which is a real shame, because the series truly has vast untapped potential, so I do hope that the developers listen to player feedback and polish the upcoming ACC Russia to a mirror sheen, because this series really does deserve better. Thank you guys for listening, and if you enjoyed this, please do leave a like, it ends up helping me a lot, and if you would like to see more, you can either subscribe here, or you can check out the website linked down below. That one tends to be updated more frequently. With all of that said, I hope you have a nice day, and I'll see you soon with Dragon's Dogma. See ya!